On Sports Central, we'll be going over our next schedule preview this offseason, and it will be over the Boston College Eagles. And this was a team that went 7-6 in the 2019 season, and yeah, it was a pretty good season for Boston College. They wasn't as good as 2018, of course, but how will they be in 2020 is what we're going over here today. We're going to be going over a few players that this team will be losing, who they're going to be returning, and also going over their schedule for the first time this offseason. Starting off the games this team has had since November. Yeah, we start off on November 2nd. They played Syracuse on the road in that one. They got the win 58-27, and that was clearly their best win of the later parts of the season. Definitely one of their better wins of the season for that matter. The next week they played Florida State. That was a tough loss there, 31-38. They were able to keep it really close, but Florida State got the win there in the end. Then they had a bye week. Then it was to Notre Dame on the 23rd, and obviously Notre Dame being a really good team last season. That was a very challenging game for Boston College. They had a loss there, 7-40. So yeah, obviously that wasn't a very good game for them. Nonetheless, they did beat Pittsburgh though the next week. That was a road game too, 26-19, and yeah, that wasn't all that bad of a win at all either. In their bowl game, they played Cincinnati, and that was not a very good game as well. They lost that one 6-38, but nonetheless, still good season for Boston College. They were able to get up to 7 wins. Their final record was 7-6, and they were 5-3 between September and October, and then 2-3 between November and the rest of the season. So yeah, they're pretty consistent with where they were at for the majority of last season. Looking at your returning production for Boston College, they do lose their top quarterback in Anthony Brown. He is transferring away to Oregon, so yeah, he will not be with this program next season. He had just over 1,200 yards of offense last season with 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. However, the good part is that they do return their second quarterback in Dennis Grosel, which he had just over 900. Yeah, he just had right around 1,000 yards is what I should say, along with 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So, yeah, I think they'll be just fine with Dennis in their quarterback. I think it's very likely that he's going to be their starting quarterback next season, considering that he's got a decent amount of experience from last year. And yeah, he doesn't look like all that bad of a quarterback as well. I mean, his stats are pretty good. Once again, right around 1,000 yards with a 1-to-3 touchdown interception ratio. So, yeah, that's really good, definitely. I mean, out of most quarterbacks, a good touchdown interception ratio will be a good 1-to-5. But they do lose their top running back in A.J. Dillon, and that's going to be a big challenge for them to have to deal with. Of course, A.J. Dillon, he went to the NFL draft. I think he's going to the Packers now. He was drafted to them this past week, and last season he was a big player for this team. He actually led this offense in yardage. He had just right around 2,000 yards last season of rushing, along with 15 touchdowns. So, yeah, A.J. Dillon was a big part of this team last season. That's going to be a tough loss. However, they do return their second running back in David Bailey, which he also had a big impact on this team. He had just right around 1,000 yards with 8 touchdowns. So, yeah, overall, definitely this running back core was a huge bright spot for this offense last season, and losing A.J. Dillon will be a major impact. But, however, having David Bailey still in there, I think they'll be just fine. The top receiver in 2019 was tight end Hunter Long. That's kind of a big surprise. That's the first time I've seen so far in all my schedule previews that I've done that a tight end has actually led a team in receiving. And yep, Hunter Long actually led this team in receiving last season. He had just over 500 yards of offense with 2 touchdowns, and he will be returning too, so that's really good for this team. They returned their top wide receiver in Kobe White, which he had just right around 470 yards with 5 touchdowns. And they also returned their second wide receiver in Zay Flowers, which, yeah, he was kind of a mix between a running back and a receiver. He had 340 receiving yards, along with right around 200 rushing yards. So, yeah, he had overall the most total yards of a receiver. Of course, he had right around 550 if you count that total for yardage wise, but he also had 4 total touchdowns. So yeah, it's gonna be good for them to return him as well. This receiving core is looking pretty good. I think they'll be able to improve quite a bit next season. However, the big losses come on the offensive line. They lose 3 offensive linemen going into 2020, so that's going to be a big impact. They also lose 2 defensive linemen and 1 in the secondary. So, yeah, this defense is looking really good as well. I mean, they're only losing 3 on this defense, and typically out of most teams, you'll see 4 to 5 losses. Boston College as well, below average there. So, yeah, certainly I think this defense will be one of the better ones in their division. Their offense does not, however, lose a lot, or they don't return a lot, is what I should say. They do lose their top quarterback once again from last season, Anthony Brown, losing your top running back in A.J. Dillon. So yeah, certainly for Boston College, I mean, they are having quite a few losses on offense, and that is the one reason why I'd have to say Boston College would have a bit of a decrease going into 2020. But will Boston College improve in 2020? Really tough to say right now. Once again, with all the losses, I think they'll stick right around where they were last season or slightly below. I don't expect them to be able to do anything crazy like get to the ACC championship game or something like that, but yeah, I do expect Boston College to be a team that isn't going to be terrible, but they won't be good at the same time. I think they're going to be hovering right around that 5-7 win border, and that's what we're going over next is your schedule. You start off the season on September 4th. You got Syracuse, then you got Ohio also at home on the 12th. You got Kansas on the road on the 19th, so you do have to play them again this season. You got Purdue and Clemson, and then you got Louisville at home on the 10th. That'll be a tough game. They got Virginia Tech on the road on the 22nd. You got Holy Cross to finish off October. Then you got NC State and Florida State on the road in your first 2 weeks in November. Then you got North Carolina before finishing off the regular season against Wake Forest on the road. So, yeah, Boston College has a really tough schedule next season, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, Syracuse at the beginning of the season, that's very winnable. Ohio is too, but yeah, Kansas being a road game, you should be able to get a win there. But with it being a road game, and you're having to go pretty much across the country, you could kind of put up questions about that one. Then you got Purdue, Clemson, Louisville, and Virginia Tech all in consecutive weeks, except for between Louisville and Virginia Tech. You got a bye week in between there. Yeah, certainly for Boston College, it'll be a little bit tougher to get through those games. That'll probably be your toughest stretch of the season right there between September 26th and October 22nd. You got Holy Cross on the 31st. That should be very winnable. And then your November is looking kind of tough as well. You got Florida State, obviously, and then you got North Carolina. Here are what my thoughts are on their schedule, and I'm going to give you 2 guaranteed wins. I say you win against Ohio on September 12th, and I'll also give you one on October 31st against Holy Cross. I was considering giving you guys a guaranteed win against Syracuse, but I'm not going to do that one quite yet. And once again, we won't go over every game here because this is just a schedule preview. We'll go over every game in our actual predictions, which will be coming out this summer. But yeah, nonetheless, I do expect Boston College to hang right around the 6-6 to 8-4 mark once again, really close to how they were last season too. So I don't expect a whole lot to change there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on Boston College. Let me know whether you disagree with anything here. If you do, be sure to let me know. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. But yeah, thank you all for watching once again. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. If you enjoyed this schedule preview, be sure to slap a like on it and subscribe as well. It really helps out the channel. But thank you all for watching once again. Stay tuned for more. I will see you all later.